Guys, welcome back. Today we're talking about the Mormon infiltration of the CIA and its effect on the intelligence community. And the crux of this whole argument is this. The LDS, the Latter-day Saints, better known as the Mormons, have completely infiltrated the intelligence community. And I call it infiltrated because they're not the ideal candidates for that kind of job in many regards. In many regards, they are. It's a complicated subject. The Latter-day Saints are religious zealots based in Utah. And what they are doing is they are projecting their value system onto the intelligence community. And the problem with that is the LDS, they don't drink, they don't smoke, they don't, all sorts of things. They believe in, still, even though they don't officially believe in polygamy, they believe in polygamy. And all of those things are weighing heavily on the intelligence community. And you're saying to yourself, but Sean, why would that have any impact? What makes a good field officer is not always going to be synonymous with what makes a good person. And what the CIA has done, the CIA, NSA, all of the three-letter agencies there's like 13 of them actually. There's 13 intelligence agencies in the United States, believe it or not. Last time I checked, there was like 13 of them. And you know, with the military and the civilian sides and all of that. And so the idea of prudence and cleanliness and all of that comes from those strong beliefs may not always align with mission parameters. And so at those times where the mission parameters and the beliefs don't align, we're going to have a conflict. And I have a surprise for you. Most of the time in the intelligence community with what the CIA is dealing with in covert war, those ideals do not align with Christianity, period, let alone Mormonism or LDS. And the reason why is because Christianity and Mormonism preach all of this benevolence and good, and that is not something that is not synonymous with covert war. Lollipops and candy stores are not synonymous with war, especially covert war. And so what's happened is we've got these really strong, overzealous individuals because they're polyglots and because they can pass a drug test. They're being drawn into the intelligence community. And it's excluding individuals who might be better suited for paramilitary covert war because either they have addictions of some sort or they are not ideologically aligned with the zealots. And that is really hurting the CIA right now. And you're like, Sean, how do you know? And I'm like, just look around. Just look around. It's something that's easy to see from publicly available information. You could take FOIA requests, information from FOIA requests about missions that the CIA works on, and a lot of them are failing because the covert war ideology and the religious zealot ideology of the Mormons do not align. That's one reason I don't portray myself as a Christian, is because my ideology with covert war and those types of things are staunch. And in my ideology, it's the ends justifies the means. And I vigorously believe that. And I also believe in violence. And those two things are not synonymous. I'll say it 10 times in this video. Those are not synonymous with the religious zealots that are Mormons. And the easiest solution to that is to broaden the candidacy of the officers that they're bringing in. The agents don't really matter when it comes to their personal status, because they're agents, and agents for the most part are disposable. So officers and agents are two different things when we're talking about the CIA. Agents are people that are recruited by the CIA in abroad, and officers are the actual people who work for the United States government as officers in the CIA. And so it's not as profound an impact on the agent side, because you could just basically, you really need to use whoever, and it's not contingent on their personal values or their personal habits. The other side of that is that when you get a covert agent and officer in theater abroad, you do not want a drug addict over there, because nothing will destroy a covert mission quicker than a drug addict. And the reason why is because a drug addict's always going to be hunting. Drug addicts are hunters. That's part of what would make that same person, if they weren't a drug addict, a great officer, is that they're hunters. They're natural hunters, and that's part of their drug addiction, is the hunt for the drug. It's part the drug effects and the routine of doing the drugs, and it's also the other part of that is the actual hunt, the constant hunt for the narcotics. And so there's that side of it. Drugs do destroy covert missions because the officers are getting high or whatever. The same exact thing could be argued for alcohol though. So by that premise, nobody should be an officer, period. Because almost everybody's drink alcohol, except Mormons. And so if you're gonna go by that, then there shouldn't be anybody in the IC that drinks, smokes, parties, or does anything that a human would do. And that doesn't make sense, because you're never going to be able to complete missions satisfactorily if you don't have people that have the just that drive, that unbridled drive where the ends justifies the means. And the problem, like I said, with the LDS is that those two do not mesh. Now, what can we do about it? The easiest thing to do, like I said previously, is just to broaden the candidacy pool, overlook some of those things, and help those officers who may have stuff like that, like alcoholism or whatever, just help them function while in the mission. Make that part of the mission. It's that simple. Because then what you've got is you've got people who really believe that the ends justifies the means working for you, and not some religious zealot who goes back and forth because they have some cognitive dissonance within themselves. Because that's what's happening to a lot of these missions. There's this cognitive dissonance between LDSs, within LDS, in the individuals, because they're taught to be righteous and pious and clean and everything, and then they've got to go do covert war. It doesn't work. And so what we really need to do is we need to start limiting. I don't want to discriminate based on religion. However, we really need to start eliminating the impact on the LDS Mormons in the CIA and in the intelligence community. And the sooner we do it, the more effective we'll be. The other problem is the Mormons are bringing foreign agents into this country en masse. they go abroad and then they marry a foreign agent unscrupulously and they bring them back. And it's happened over and over again. If you look up stories about who the agents are, the foreign agents that are getting caught, a lot of them have been affiliated with LDS, the Mormon Church. And so it's a huge problem. Is it really ever going to be addressed? Probably not. It's probably going to keep going like that until there's a person in the executive branch who makes an executive order stating the simple fact that we need a broader pool and we've got to maybe diminish the impact of the LDS because their numbers in the ranks are huge. So all of that being said, I love the LDS. I love them because when I was a young man, I grew up in a very small town called Lybrook, New Mexico. And the only basically big building in the whole town besides the school and the plant, the cryogenic stratification plant that my dad did automation at, was a giant LDS church. Now the funny thing is almost nobody in town was LDS. And there was one family was LDS there. And however, they were close family friends of mine, and I'll always adore the LDS for the healing and the growth that they provide for families. They taught me how to pray on my knees. They taught me that, putting things in my body that weren't food and water and clean air, they taught me that those were bad. And those ideals and virtues have stuck with me through all my struggles, and they brought me out the other side, because when I have that little devil dancing on my shoulder going, hey, have a drink, smoke this, I hear the LDS missionaries go, Sean, there's a dozen other things you could do with your time that are 10 times more beneficial. So I do have that strong affinity for LDS. At the same time, my honesty and my integrity make me have to say something about this. It's a huge problem. And hopefully it'll be addressed sometime in the near future. Leave your questions and comments down below.